So then let's get to the order of business here, Mike. 3 days before the NFL draft, reviewing your previous 20 picks, Shedeur Sanders' name has yet to be called, which means the Steelers are sitting there 21st overall, sticking and picking. And do you think they would take Shedeur Sanders under this circumstance, Mike?
You tried to trick me into making that comment last week. The Pittsburgh Steelers and Shedeur Sanders.
Okay.
So apparently we're 1 for 2 in tricking. But at the end of the day, what I like about this is I do like Shedeur Sanders to Pittsburgh.
You do?
I like the head coach in Pittsburgh an awful lot. I don't think it, in my mind, should preclude an Aaron Rodgers deal. Matter of fact, I would embrace that if I was Pittsburgh. And I would love Shedeur to sit a year behind a Hall of Fame NFL quarterback. Even if Aaron doesn't want to, quote, be a mentor to anybody, that's fine. What he can pick up from this guy in a year is mind-boggling. So I'd rather not throw him to the dogs year one. I know he's mature. I know he's smart. They've got a young offensive line. They've invested some draft capital in. They've upgraded the wideout core. But I would love to see him get some time to develop. And I'm hoping at 21, there'll be a little less pressure. And I also know Mike Tomlin knows how to handle the heat. So I like that pick there a lot for them.
Okay, so Shedeur Sanders goes off the board, 21st overall. Chargers are now sitting on the clock. Who do they take?
Yeah, their needs are basically D tackle, running back, and wide receiver. And I wanted to give them Omarion Hampton because they're not dynamic at running back, despite Najee Harris. Then I looked at defensive tackle, and they're loaded with, Walter Nolan and all the Dark Harmon and these guys that are ready to start now. And I finally went, you know what? Emeka Egbuka, the wideout from Ohio State, to pair him with Ladd McConkey. And I think the draft plays right into the Chargers' needs, running back and defensive tackle. So let's go get the third wideout, who I think there's a little bit of a drop-off after, pair him with McConkey, and at the end of the day, we'll come back and get our DT and our running back.
My gosh. The strange bedfellows, huh? Jim goes and gets a Buckeye to help himself out. I know. It doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. Now the Packers, you have them 23rd overall here taking who? Yep. What do you got there?
Yeah, I looked hard at wideout, and I think Emeka Egbuka going the pick before varies the way they're thinking through this right now. I'm not sure if Luther Burden is as consistent as you would like in the first round. So basically, I've got him taking the second defensive tackle over the fifth edge or the fourth corner or fourth wideout. So they get Derek Harmon from Oregon, who's an immediate plug-and-play starter at defensive tackle, really good against the pass, is stout against the run, and I think he starts day one for Green Bay.
Okay, so Sanders, Egbuka, Harmon kicks off the final 12 of the Mike Mayock draft here on the Rich Eisen Show. The Vikings sitting at 24. What happens here, Mike?
I think they're the logical choice to trade down for any team looking to get up. They only have 4 draft picks. They have the least draft capital overall of any team in the NFL. And I think, for instance, Kansas City, sitting at 31, could be looking to get to 24 ahead of Houston and the Rams, because if there's a run on offensive linemen, Kansas City might want to get ahead of 2 teams with those needs. But the New York Giants are sitting there at 34. They need a quarterback. Their third-round draft pick is the first of the round, number 65. So I've got the New York Giants trading up from 34 to 24 and taking Jackson Dart.
Oh, wow. Whoa. Okay, that would be a nice wow moment. Why do you see the Giants and Dart as a marriage there for the Giants to give up quite the third-round draft choice? I know it's just a 3, but it's a significant one for this kid.
Yeah. It's the first pick in the third round. It is significant. They got a playmaker in the first round in Abdul Carter. They need to get better. Part of me wanted to give them another positional player and just let them sit and pick in the second round. But they had 2 third-round picks. And to be honest with you, I love the pairing of Jackson Dart in behind Russell Wilson and Jameis Winston. And keep in mind, that Wilson's on a 1-year deal. Winston's on a 2-year deal, but the guaranteed money between the two of them is only $15 million. Okay. So you can keep 3 quarterbacks, take advantage of the new quarterback rule on the 48-man roster on game day.
Mm-hmm.
And this kid can come in and think about through his prism what he's seeing for a year. He's got Russell Wilson towards the end of his career, more of a ball security guy, understands the game, can call the game at the line of scrimmage. And then you got the exact opposite in Jameis Winston, who can't help himself and is the biggest gunslinger in the last 15 years in the NFL. And I love this kid sitting there. He's a good athlete, not a dynamic athlete, but a good athlete, throws the ball well. Just having the ability to sit there and learn behind those two guys for a year and not have to play without that pressure, I think it's a great situation for him.
All right. That would be quite the moment. Deep on a Thursday night at the NFL Draft, Mike Mayock walking through the final picks of how he sizes up the way things could go on Thursday night. So you're saying the Chiefs attempt to maybe knock on the Vikings' door to beat the Texans and the Rams to the offensive line punch here, and in this case, they don't. So does that mean we see that run here on offensive linemen, Mike?
I think we do, and I see Houston's. And Rich, I told you a few weeks back I did the Jets-Houston game last year. I watched a lot of tape of both teams, and Houston's offensive line really struggled, both with consistency and injuries. It wasn't very good. And to me, it's the main reason why C.J. Stroud's sophomore year was perhaps not as productive as his freshman year. So you look into all of those things. You know, what did they do? They traded Tunsil and Kenyon Green. They added Cam Robinson and Trent Brown, who are both, you know, at this point in their career struggling a little bit. They're a work in progress on that offensive line. I have them taking Josh Simmons from Ohio State. I think I think there's a drop off at tackle after him. And what I love about him, remember, he had patella in week 6 a year ago. So as long as the medical is clean and their doctors are happy with him, I think they're getting extremely good value with this pick because from an athletic perspective, he's a higher pick than 25. And I think he's got a high ceiling and a high floor as long as that injury checks out.
Catch the Rich Eisen Show live weekdays from 12 to 3 p.m. Eastern on Roku Sports Channel in the U.S.